Our story begins in the year 1870 in the city of Providence, Rhode Island. A young woman, Juno Mason, keeps house for a wealthy and eccentric old man, Professor Richard Dorr. One night, Juno ventures to the prestigious mansion of the professor to find him dead, murdered, without any trace of the killer. It's revealed that the late professor's will left the entirety of his estate, including his vast fortune and elaborate manor, to Juno, who was swiftly accused of murder and put on trial. Without concrete evidence to convict her of the crime, however, she is cleared of all charges. Unnerved by the trial and wary of further controversy, Juno refuses her inheritance. She elects not to touch the money and boards up Professor Dorr's elaborate former residence at the intersection of Benefit and Benevolent Street. 53 years later, the granddaughter of Juno Mason, Celeste, is left to ponder the unusual circumstances of her family's wealth. Despite the countless treasures hidden within the old house and the small fortune collecting dust in her bank account, Juno has still refused to accept or acknowledge the professor's endowment. Struggling to support both herself and her paranoid grandmother, Celeste grows frustrated with the lack of answers from Juno. One morning, on her way to work, Celeste is approached by an older friend of her grandmother, Victoria Brand. A radical progressive, Brand lives on the outskirts of society. She implores Celeste to liberate herself from Juno's authority and to pursue her own curiosity. Brand even alludes to the mysteries within Dorr Manor and assures Celeste that she could explain everything that happened there, even the identity of the true killer. In return, Brand asks that Celeste turn over her necklace, a family heirloom and the only part of Dorr's estate that Juno actually accepted. When Celeste refuses, Brand becomes violent and attacks. Celeste escapes, more confused and frightened than ever before. Celeste returns home to her grandmother and confronts her about everything. The house, the professor, the necklace, and now Victoria Brand. Finally, Juno breaks down and admits that her fear of other people's judgment had kept her from revisiting the memories at Benefit and Benevolent. Hoping to make a change for the better, Juno hands over the Dorr Manor key to Celeste, and together they enter the decrepit mansion for the first time in 53 years. Inside, they are again accosted by Victoria Brand, who is still seeking Celeste's amulet. The confrontation escalates, and Juno is forced to shoot her former friend to save Celeste. In the aftermath of the struggle, Celeste is suddenly compelled by a mysterious voice in her head to use the Dorr Manor key to open the amulet around her neck. Hypnotized and unconscious of her actions, Celeste obeys, and the amulet is opened. Countless horrors pour from the small metal amulet, streaming up endlessly into the gloom. At last, one final creature forces itself out, incomprehensible in appearance, before eventually adapting its form to something much more human. Communicating through English, it explains itself to be an ancient and powerful otherworldly entity, comparable to a god. Claiming to be a being of no name in existence, Celeste gives them the name Bonnie. Bonnie asks Celeste to help them reorient themselves with this modern world, as they apparently had not visited Earth in 53 years. Celeste deduces that this entity was somehow connected to the house, Professor Dorr, and her grandmother, and soon a deal is struck. Celeste agrees to help Bonnie answer their questions, and Bonnie will do the same for Celeste in return. Soon, Celeste and Bonnie find themselves face to face with another entity that escaped from the amulet. When bullets, fire, and even Bonnie's otherworldly ability to manipulate physical matter prove ineffective at stopping the beast, Celeste resorts to her natural instincts. A prolonged battle ends with Celeste losing her hand to the maw of the impossible creature, and she blacks out. When she recovers, Celeste is met once again by her mysterious new accomplice, Bonnie. While Celeste was unconscious, Bonnie had used their powers of physical matter manipulation, combined with Juno's photographic memory of Dorr's manor, to completely restore the antiquated estate. Furthermore, Juno has finally agreed to return as the true owner of the house. On top of this revelation, Bonnie also regenerates a stunned Celeste's missing hand, assuring her that it will work fine, with only minimal glitches. Both Juno and Bonnie explain to Celeste that the professor had spent the last 20 years of his life seeking out and capturing interdimensional entities that he called Enigmorphs, Bonnie themselves being one of them, and trapping them in his specially designed amulet. Unwittingly, Celeste had actually recaptured the voracious monster that had taken her hand, By consuming human flesh, it had succumbed to its only mortal vice, gluttony, and the amulet's unique mechanism had detected and taken advantage of this weakness to once again trap the beast within its interdimensional prison. Now, Celeste, Juno, and Bonnie have to work together to find and recapture the many escaped Enigmorphs and return them to the confines of the Professor's amulet. Along the way, they'll uncover more about the unusual circumstances of Dor's death, learn more about Victoria Brand, and uncover the many other unsolved mysteries surrounding the old house at Benefit and Benevolent.